Hello, everyone. It's Brian the Chronicler's Tale. I've got a video. It's not the usual produced content, so I'm putting this in the live streams. That way, on the YouTube channel, it'll end up being in live versus the recorded videos. So, the reason I'm making a video is the other day I was going through our old bookshelves in my workplace, and I came across this old book, The World is Flat. And it was a book written in 2000 or published in 2005. And what it talks about is looking at the world being flat as far as, I guess you use the term globalization, like labor markets, and how certain events from the fall of the Berlin Wall to India and China, then coming into the labor market and kind of starting to assert themselves as a people and politically and economically, outsourcing, offshoring, the internet, and how that started to enable people to do a lot of work in the digital realm, as well as a few other factors. And I kind of looked at things from a perspective of, how this is changing the world. And what I found interesting about it was that I think there's something to be gained from reading old books, that when you look at a larger long-term trend, like in this case, how I suppose multiple threads where you have how the internet has changed over the last 20 years, how humans have utilized the internet economically, creatively, how we communicate, uh, what sort of trends that were in their nascent stages and how those have played out. In this case, globalization, um, the outsourcing and offshoring of low cost industries to low cost countries from the more developed nations, and then how that affects things just geopolitically. And when you look at things today, you see how China and India we've gone these trends of the book mentions one of the things they mentioned with India and outsourcing and low cost nations was the rise of overseas call centers, which for people who are a little bit older and remember the days when you would call customer service and it'd be someone in the United States, and then we had that slow trend of we started talking to someone overseas who's not even from our own country of the United States, and there's that gap. And then we have the trend of companies that bring the customer service back to people staffed within the United States, seeing that whole arc kind of play out. We've seen the arc of China and how from its early days in the 90s to the early 2000s, when the moving of manufacturing really started to pick up and go over to the mainland, and how that's played out over time. We've seen how digital communications and the growing adaptability of the internet has changed how we interact with one another, how we're able to use digital technologies, and also how digital technologies themselves have evolved and enabled humans within this context of interconnectivity to change. And being able to see it in its early days, there we go. And when you can see it from its early days, from the analysis now, you kind of see where things started out at, and you have the benefit of kind of comparing that to where we are with the hindsight. But you also get the benefit of looking at that perspective and the frame of mind and what at the time was the cutting edge of someone taking a whole bunch of things, putting them together and coming to these conclusions and drawing a picture. And you can see, where were they right? Where were they not right? I think I've noted elsewhere, maybe on different platforms and channels, how in the 90s, I think it was 95, when Bill Gates came out, published the book, The Road Ahead, talking about where he saw a lot of technologies going with the internet, with personal digital assistants, which turned out to be evolve into smartphones, and a lot of other things, and how we would interact. And if I went back and started reading that, rereading that, and listening to the book on tape, and it was interesting just seeing what panned out, what changed, and what things took a lot longer to play out than predicted. And it's the same thing with this. And so there's something to be said and a value in buying an older book. I realize it's not something that everyone wants to do, and this was just coincidental. I found it interesting just because it's so old. It was almost like reading a fictional novel and seeing, this world, this completely different world, almost completely different world that someone else sees. So that's kind of what grabbed me, and I realized that's not for everybody. But this is one of those things that I felt it's worthwhile pointing out, that if you come across an old book and you've got the time, and if it's a topic that interests you, check it out because you'll find it interesting. And that's going to wrap up this little video. So maybe I'll do more, maybe I won't. I have no idea. This one was just something I just decided to do off the seat of my pants. As far as the channel goes, I've got my fingers in a lot of other projects, a lot of other pokers in a lot of other fires. So new content and videos, they're slow in coming. But it's still there. It's still going, just albeit slowly. And no, I've got some ideas for videos that sooner or later, they'll be put on the platform. So I will wrap up there, say thank you for checking it out. You can go to thechroniclerstale.com. You can check out Chronicler's Tale on the video and social media sites listed in the show notes. I mainly post the content to the platforms. Every so often I get onto Twitter, share some things there. Facebook as well, but it's mainly the video platforms. And with that, I will say be well, everyone. Talk to you soon. And end stream.